I just finished a meeting with Invest Toronto, our board meeting, that's why I'm late, and coming to speak with the Chamber of Commerce, the Brazilian Canadian Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for having me here today. It's a pleasure. I was elected, like you said, in 2010, and I've been devoting a lot of work in the affordable housing sector. I'm the chair of affordable housing, have done a lot of work in that sector, but in 2010 and 2012, I started looking into some of the economic development opportunities for the City of Toronto. I think if you want to have a better city, you have to look not only at how people live, but how they make their living. And economic development is part of that. And how can we expand the opportunities for Torontonians and for our businesses? And how I could help in that. And obviously, being the only one that speaks Portuguese at that time, I started looking into that and looking into the relationships that we had with different cities. And I was amazed to find out that Toronto did not have any relationship with Brazil. So we have, as part of our mandate, is to have 10 sister cities. We had 9. And the only city in South America that we had a relationship with was Quito. And I said, well, there's an area that I can contribute something to my city, that I can bring some value added, because I know there's huge potential in bringing cities together, Toronto with some of the Brazilian cities, and bringing these markets together. Our federal government was on its way there already. Our Ontario government was already on its way. We had to join them as well and embark in that. So in the past 7 months, I'm very happy to say that the City of Toronto has signed 2 agreements. And so since 2012, we've been working on that relationship, and we signed an agreement, a sister agreement with the City of Rio, and an agreement between Invest Toronto and Invest São Paulo. And you might say, and a lot of people question me and say, why did you sign an agreement, a sister agreement with Rio and not with São Paulo, because São Paulo is the financial district? Well, sister agreements are not only about the financial component. And the reason why we went with Rio is we had the Pan Am Games coming, they had the Olympics, and they had the Pan Am Games. There's a huge cultural component and a sports component that we wanted to exchange experiences with those 2 events. We have the waterfront revitalization. We have a major waterfront revitalization in our city. They have a big waterfront revitalization. So we thought there were experiences that could be exchanged with that. And then there's the film and the fashion industry that are very, very big in our city and in Rio in there, that we knew that there are already initial conversations. So we decided to go with the sister agreement with Rio, but in reality, we are working very closely with both cities, and that's why we've already signed an agreement with Invest São Paulo as well. And I had the privilege of being there for those 2 occasions. Rio de Janeiro becomes then the 10th city to have this kind of designation in Toronto. And to various degrees, all of our sister cities have been successful in the past. For example, last week, the City of Toronto participated in a Vietnam business event as a result of our relationship with Ho Chi Minh City, and this week we are exchanging in a music exchange with the City of Chicago. In June, we engaged in a business and technological knowledge exchange with Milan during World Expo. And our mayor has already said, okay, get ready, we need to do something with Brazil, so we are now trying to pinpoint when we're going to take a trade mission, and he's very clear. It has to make sense, it has to have the input of our business community, and we have to get something out of it for our business community here and for whoever wants to do business in Brazil. So I've approached the Chamber to partner with us in planning this future trade mission. So over the past 10 years, executive training programs for public and private sector employees, and this is another example of some of the benefits that we get from these cities, with our partnership from Chongqing, China, have generated in the Toronto economy $1 million, just on professional exchanges. We are very actively engaging with our partner and friendship cities, and we intend to do the same, and if it's up to me, even more, with our Brazil relationship. And while it is hard to tangibly measure these interactions, we know that the long-term benefit is that these cities and their regional economies are more aware of Toronto can offer in comparison to other countries and cities around the world. And I think that's where we need to really do a lot of work. We have a very strong relationship between Brazil and Canada when you start looking at the numbers and companies that are already doing business. But for the smaller and medium-sized companies and for even members of government, to be honest with you, there's still a huge lack of knowledge about the opportunities between the two countries. And I think that's where the city can do a lot of work, and that we as politicians and things like trade missions can really help the companies that are already there and the ones that want to enter the market into have a much closer relationship and creating awareness about the potential that it is there. Our agreement with Invest São Paulo states that each organization will identify industries and companies from their regions that may have an interest in conducting business in São Paulo. Each will also share business information and economic data that will assist in attracting investment to both regions. What these two agreements help put in motion is a heightened awareness of the business opportunities in both countries, of who is operating in Brazil, who might want to do business in Toronto, and for us to tell them who from Toronto might be interested to do business in Brazil. This is an important step for Brazilians to know more about our business and trade potential, and for Torontonians to know more about opportunities that might exist in Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo. There is a lot of awareness expansion that is possible because right now neither locations know much about the other. For instance, when I was traveling in Brazil earlier this year, and I always like to say this story because, as you know, it's not easy for politicians to sell economic development strategies, especially when they include traveling, and especially when it's to cities like Rio and Sao Paulo. Believe me, my colleagues are very, very jealous. So it's very hard to sell the potential of what you can get to it. So I always like to remind them about this story because I was in a trade mission. We went to sign the agreement with São Paulo Invest, and we had some B2B meetings. And we had a pharmaceutical company that sat in front of us, and there was somebody from Invest Toronto and they start telling us like, well, we're really here, but we pretty much made our mind, we're going to go to New Jersey. And we're like, what? New Jersey? And we had a long meeting with them. As soon as we came back, we made sure we sent a letter from the mayor. We went to the mayor's office like, Mayor, you really have to send a letter to this company. They're going to New Jersey. They need to come here and see what this is all about. Send them a letter. Invest Toronto's continue to do their work. They accepted to come and visit us here. We got them to City Hall and said, Mayor, you have to go in and just say hello. And so we basically rolled the red carpet. The result is that they are coming to Toronto. So this was in February of this year. They are coming to Toronto. They are opening in Mississauga with an office in Mars as well, so in an innovation hub. This is